Welcome back, guys. Today we're gonna hop into why all you need for better hamstrings and glutes in your hinge is a toe elevated RDL. No, I'm kidding. Get the cat out of the bag. I don't think that us doing toes elevated in an RDL is actually gonna be better for hamstrings or better for glutes or whatever was conventionally kind of taught. You'll still go into the gym every now and then and see people doing these kind of like knees in the back of the room. Really gross looking RDLs, thinking that they're gonna get more like stretch to their hamstrings, although the hamstrings don't cross the ankle joint. So we'll get into why I do like it in some context in terms of a teaching tool, why a heel wedge works for a squat even, and we'll kind of break down what we're doing, which is really what we're doing in both cases. We're just kind of using a constraint to manipulate center of mass or get some sort of input so we can get a better output from a neuromuscular control standpoint. Now, with a heel elevation, we could argue it's helping us with ankle mobility. Perhaps us going from flat ground to a wedge would put us in more relative plantar flexion as we start the movement, so give us more room to move through dorsiflexion. I don't think that most people have ankle mobility issues like we commonly put out. I think I just did a video on that if you want to link it up there. With a heel wedge, it's going to push our center of mass into our midfoot better. It's going to help us get better midfoot pressure, and we're going to be able to do more of this vertically aligned squat pattern. It's easier to stay upright without falling over, right? Typically what happens is people want to hinge over, people want to fall backwards. The heel wedge will just help us be constrained to a more vertical squat position, which is what we want, right? If we're trying to truly break down what a squat is, a squat would be more vertical movement of the pelvis, a hinge more horizontal. Now, we'll commonly kind of see the heel wedge also used for making a better hinge, which could be kind of the same idea. Like if I'm elevating my heels and pushing more into my midfoot as I hinge. However, I will find that oftentimes people will do better doing the opposite and doing a slight toe elevation. And kind of the way that I think about this is like, if I am walking downhill, I'm leaned back in space, right? I have more of a negative shin angle. I'm leaned back, more vertical torso, right? That's gonna be a better position for me, like with a heel wedge of getting into a squat. If I'm walking uphill, I lean forward, right? I'm leaning forward so that I don't fall backwards. I have the hill to lean into. Now, if I'm doing a RDL, for example, I want to shift my center of mass back. If I'm already shifted back, it's hard for me to shift back. So what can I do? I can use a constraint like a slight toe elevation to now push myself forward in space so that I can now push my hips back, right? So if I'm doing an RDL, one of the biggest issues is people start with all their weight in their heels, and as they push back, the toes come up, the knees rock back, I'm getting even more further back in space. So I'm not in a good position to actually push myself back in space. Now, if I have a slight toe elevation to push into, and I'm not talking like a 30-degree slant board where I'm gonna be doing some like leaning Michael Jackson shit. I'm talking about a slight toe elevation. I don't know, the slightest slant boards, they make 10, 15 degrees, even like, a 2.5 pound plate. Something where we can just slightly push into can be a great teaching tool. It's gonna teach me how to push forward in space so that I can now push my hips back in space better, right? It's gonna teach me the fundamentals of a hinge, because if I'm already starting with my weight back, I might need a constraint to push myself forward. Now, clearly we could do other things first. We could cue, hey, push forward. That works really well sometimes. Hey, forward chin angle, soft knees, fall forward before you push back. We can use some of these cues to hinge better. But if we are a really stubborn learner from a motor control standpoint, sometimes just having a slight toe elevation for us to push into will help us kind of feel that forward lean so we can now push our hips back in space. So hopefully that makes sense. I like it as a teaching tool, especially for gym pop clients. I'll even use it with athletes on occasion. It's not a long-term solution. It really is just something that's gonna help me teaching how to control my center of mass so I can execute the movement better. As I get those movement skills down, I should be able to take it away pretty easily. It isn't gonna be like I'm eventually doing 4 plates per side RDLs with a toe wedge, right? Like it's not gonna give us that long-term benefit. It really is just like a teaching tool. So I guess the conventional thought process is we get more stretch through the hamstrings if we do a toe wedge, which obviously is not true because the hamstrings don't cross the ankle joint. What we're probably feeling, because undoubtedly if we go do a, especially a steep toe elevated RDL, we're gonna feel more of a stretch to the hamstrings, likely just a little bit more pressure along the sciatic nerve. We're probably just getting extra sensation because we are lengthening that entire posterior, soleus gastroc, muscles all the way up, hamstrings, all the way up the chain. All those will probably affect to some degree the tension that we have on the sciatic nerves. Maybe we're just feeling more stretch because of that. Logically, we can say, okay, me elevating my foot or changing something at the ankle is not gonna change something that's gonna be above the knee, right? So hamstrings, glutes. But what it can do is help me manipulate my center of mass or control my center of mass better so that I can execute the movement better overall. And that's what we're looking for here. So hopefully that makes sense. If you've not already liked and subscribed, please do so. Your support means a lot for the channel. If you need help with your own training or fixing your hinge or lower body training or whatever it is working around injury, please press the link down below and I would love to help you out.